that. Okay, let's. Got it. Back on Mastercam screen, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, we are talking about planes. So like I said, this is top, front, back, bottom, right, and left. These are standard 6 planes we have. And most of the time we work with the top plane and front plane and the right side plane. We working in a back plane or bottom plane of the left plane, we control with our Z axis. If you guys remember, we talked about this, that how you control with your Z, your planes. And I can go over this just to refresh your memory from last that class was on Tuesday. Yeah, from Tuesday class, night class. So I'll right click here and go to isometric, and this is what you see in isometric. And there is my origin right here. The one you see a square gray grid is my origin. So if you guys have not on or you don't see it on your Mastercam, you go under view on the top main menu, you go under view and you can go and say show grid. If this is off, your origin, you don't see it. Make sure you turn that on. And also under show snap on grid, if you expand that grid, make sure this size should be, if you haven't changed it, it should be 25 default by Mastercam, but make sure you change this to 1 inch. And the spacing is going to be 250, 250. Origin is going to be X0, Y0. Spacing 250 means this is 250, 250, 250, and this total is 1 inch. That's what that means. 1 by 1 on X and Y, and that's your spacing. So make sure you do this size change to 1 inch and hit OK. And even the reason why we leave the origin on, even your axes are off, look at this, your origin is still visible on the screen, that where is your origin. If that been turned off, show grid, if you turn that off, you don't know where is your origin. So that's the only reason we keep this show grid on all the time. And hit F9 and you can see your axes are also there. Now, if you guys remember from our last lecture, guys, I emphasize on right-hand rule all the time. Just follow the right-hand rule, follow the right-hand rule. The right-hand rule is what? If you go back on our Tuesday night class, that's your right-hand rule. Your thumb is your X plus. Your first finger is going to be your Y plus. Your middle finger towards you is going to be Z plus. Towards you, always Z plus. If I'm going to hit, hold on 1 second. Here. So look at that. This is your X, your right-hand rule. Your thumb towards the right is positive, toward the left is negative. This your middle finger is your, I'm sorry, your first finger is your Y plus, and Z towards is your middle finger. So that's your right-hand rule. So you're going to apply this right-hand rule on every plane. Right now, if I'm on top plane, if you look at here, I'm on, because C stands for your construction plane. T stands for your tool plane. So we are not worried about tool plane this moment. We are just construction, that where you're constructing means where you're drawing your geometry. And I'll stay on 2D right now. So I'm right now in top plane, and X is positive, Y positive, Z towards is positive. That's your right-hand rule. If I'm going to change my construction plane to front, And look at that. This is still, you see your axis, and don't follow the one in the green, follow the one on the red is your X. Let me turn that F9. And Control F9. Hold on 1 second. It's hard to. So the one, I don't want to see that green one. I don't want to see that. There you go. Turn those off. Right now, if I'm going to go to construction plane front and right view, I'm going to see in the front plane. So this, I'm in the front plane right now. And in the front plane, look at my X to the right is positive, Y upgoing is positive, Z towards me is positive. That's your right hand rule. If you go to the right plane, construction plane right, and look at this, right plane again. X to the right, Y going middle, first finger up, Y plus, Z towards you. So it doesn't matter you're working in the top plane, front plane, or right plane, you have to follow the right hand rule. And this is something we taught in detail in our last class. So we're gonna follow that all the time, your right hand rule. So going with the construction plane top, and I'm going to go top view. Look at this. I'm looking at the top view. So right now I'm at Z0. Whatever, if I'm going to move Z towards me positive, like I said, if I put Z 2 inches, so the Z is going to move towards us positive 2 inches. You go Z, click on Z, say minus 2 inches. It's going to go from Z0 away from you about 2 inches. Look at that. And same thing we're going to apply on the front plane. So when we talk about the front plane, this becomes my Z axis. When we go right plane, this line becomes my X, becomes my Z axis. If I'm the top plane, now we are on the top plane, this is my Z axis. So in the front plane, this, your Y becomes your Z. Your right side plane, your X becomes your Z. In the top plane, your Z is your Z. Keep that in mind. So now I'm going to go back to Z0, and I'm going to go construction plane front. Look at that. That becomes my Z now. Remember, I told my Y, here is your original Y. The one you see here is your original Y. That's your world coordinate system. That will not change. But with a plane, it's going to change. That's my Z axis right here. So when we're going to draw any geometry, this matters. That Z matters. So right now my Z0. So always towards you, right hand rule is Z plus. So if I'm going to hit here Z plus 2 inches, that origin should move towards us 2 inches positive. Here we go. And we say Z0. It's going to go back to 0. Now going away from you or away from us is minus. So that's why if I'm going to put minus 2 inches, it's going to go minus 2 inches away from you. So this becomes your Z axis in front plane. Now in the right plane, this becomes your Z axis. Let's try that. I'm going to put Z back to 0. And now I'm going to go to my construction plane right. There we go. Look at that. In construction plane right, that Z changes. In construction plane front, this was my Z. In construction plane, this is my Z. In construction plane top, this was my Z. So keep that in mind. Any plane you're going to work, doesn't matter top, front, or right. There's so many other planes we're going to start creating. Your Z is going to be towards you positive all the times. Right hand rule. Always keep that in mind. So here, same thing towards us, Z positive 2 inches. Here we go. away from us, from origin away, -2. That's your -2 inches right there. So this is something we discussed in our last class, and we created a block, and I told you guys to create a square block. The cube, 4 inches by 4 inches. We did in the top plane, we created on the front plane, we created on the right plane. So that based on that, this is what we're going to do tonight. And here I gave you project number 1. You guys see project number 1 on your screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So on project number 1, this is, I'm looking at the top view. This is going to be my x-axis. This is going to be my y-axis. And my origin is right on the center. So based on your top view, looking from the top view, this arc right here, radius 1 inches arc, if I'm going to go to your here, look on the top view. If I'm looking at the top view, this is my x-axis, this is my y-axis. And if you look at your x-axis, and this is your y-axis. So on the x-axis, I have this arc right here. So if you look at this arc is on this plane right here. This plane is what plane? It's my construction plane, right side. So this here is my construction plane. This is going to be front plane. So whenever, if I'm going to draw this geometry right here with the rectangle from the origin, this is going to be my z plus. From here, this is going to be my z minus. In the right side plane, if I'm going to create this arc right here, that's going to be a z positive, right hand rule. Z positive, how much z positive? From here to here, if you look from the origin, your z is going to be positive 3 inches. If I'm going to create this arc back here, how much is going to be that in the construction plane right? That is z minus 3 inches if you look at that. So I'm going to start with construction plane right, and I'm going to create this arc right here, 1 inch radius arc. And my z is going to be, here is my z. That is going to be my z, which is positive 3 inches. So I'll go to Mastercam. And I'm going to go into isometric view so I can see it. So if you look at here, that radius arc is right here. That arc 1 inch is on the construction plane right. So I'm going to go to construction plane right. Click on your construction plane and say I'm going to right plane. But how far is my z for that? If you look at that project number 1, that z from origin, this is my origin right here. From origin, how far is that arc? It's right here, 3 inches. There we go. So is it positive or negative? Like I said, towards me, it's positive. So I'm going to go and say z positive over here. How much? 3 inches. Look at this. My origin is going to move 3 inches towards me. There we go. And that's where I'm going to create that arc at 3 inches positive in construction plane right. So you can create just like this, but once you have created the construction plane, I'm going to go right click. I'm going to say I want to look at construction. This, if you look at this drawing right here, the small little cube here, the face is green. That green face says you're looking at the construction plane right. If you look at this guy over here, the square or cube, you see the face, green face is your front. That means you're looking at the front view. If you look at this guy over here, this shows that the green face is top. You're looking at the top view. Now look at that. These are G view. G view means graphic view. That how you look at a graphic view. How I mean looking at a graphics, your geometry. This is not a construction plane. This is graphic plane. how you look. My construction plane is right, and I want to keep my graphic view is also right. As soon as I'm going to click on that, you're going to see normal to the right plane. Watch here, look at that. There you go. So now basically this plane right here, my z-axis, like I said, your vision, your eyes is your z-axis. I want to see my z-axis normal to that plane. So right click, say I'm also in right plane. I want to look on the right plane. Look at this. Now my z is my vision. I'm looking normal to this plane right in the right side plane. It looks like your top plane, but we are in the construction plane, right? And my z is positive 3 inches. So anything I'm going to draw here is going to be positive 3 inches on the right side plane. Right hand rule, going from here, your thumb to the right is x plus, your first finger going up y plus, your z towards you is z plus. But how far from the origin? Z positive 3 inches. Okay, right click, go to right plane, do the same thing like we do. Your plane is set, you don't need to worry about. Just now you are doing a basic geometry like you used to do in your 2D class, in your Mastercam 2D class. Exactly same thing. Your Z is controlling your geometry, and your construction plane is controlling your geometry. So I'll go to wireframe. I'll go to create arc polar. My origins, say arc center point. That's my center point right here. Even when I click the center point, that's fine. And then I'm going to say enter my radius. We don't need to worry about the radius. I'm going to click my line from here to there and click that. And the radius is, how much is the radius on that geometry? The radius is 1 inch on this arc and 1.25 is on the other one. So I will say radius 1 inch. So go back to Mastercam and I'm going to click my radius 1 inch. And my starting point and end point, this guy right here, starting at 0, ending at 180. So start angle is 0 degree. It goes to 0. And end is 180. Go to 180, enter, and apply here. Okay. I'm going to change the color. Right click, clear color to green. And I'm going to keep a green color also. Okay. So now look at that arc. But this arc is, if you look at this arc is, go to isometric. This arc is in the right plane because we were in construction plane right. And we were Z positive 3 inches from the origin. And that Z positive 3 inches is right here. This is my origin over here. And from origin, I moved my Z positive 3 inches and I created this arc right here. Now, this is your back plane. We don't, this is your left plane right here. We don't use left plane. We're going to control the left plane with my Z. My Z0 was here, from here coming towards you is Z positive, from Z0 going away from you is your Z negative. That controls your left plane, I mean your, left plane. This arc radius 1.25. So here I'm still in the right plane, but I'm going to move my Z back. How much is my Z? Is right here, 3 inches. So go back to your Mastercam. I'm going to change my Z, and that Z is going to be -3. But as soon as I'm going to hit enter, that origin is going to change back, shift back to Z over here. Hit enter. Look at this. Now I'm Z -3 inches. And that geometry is right here, guys. Look at that. From the origin, Z 3 inches, and this is 3 inches. So I did arc radius 1 inch at 3 plus, Z 3 inches positive, and I'm going to create arc radius 1.25 at Z -3 inches. That's what we did right now. We already at Z -3 inches, and I'm going to create arc. That's my construction plane. Now I want to view it. So right click, graphic view, in the right plane. Here you go, click on that. We do the same thing. Arc polar. Enter the center point. That's my center point right here. Or you can just type 0, 0, same thing, and just sketch it. I want to sketch from there to there. And the radius is, I think its radius is 1.25. Yeah, radius is 1.25 over here. So go to radius 1.25, enter that angle 0, ending angle 180. Yeah. Apply, hit OK. There we go. Look at that. This arc in right side plane was Z positive 3 inches. This arc in right side plane is Z minus 3 inches. If you look from the top view, you're going to see those two lines only. You look from the front view, this is view, graphic view. You look from the front view, you see those two lines. You look from the right side view, you see the arc. That arc 1 inch radius, 1.25 radius. Go to isometric, you can see that. So that was your construction plane right. Now here is my rectangle. If you look at this drawing here, I want to create this guy right here. Now I want to create this rectangle here on the right, on the front plane. This is my front plane. Origin is right here. So looking straight to the plane, origin from towards you, Z is positive. How much is that Z positive here, guys? It's right there. There you go. Z positive 3 inches for this rectangle. That's my Z positive. So now I'm going to go to construction plane front and I'm going to create this rectangle right here. And then we're going to make a radiuses over here. But we have to control our Z. How far is my Z over here? That, like I said, that Z is right here, 3 inches. Then I'm going to create this rectangle here back from origin going back Z minus 3 inches. That's right here. So let's go to construction plane front and change my Z to positive 3 inches. So we're going to go back to Mastercam. And now I'm going to go and change my construction plane to front. Watch, as soon as I'm going to do that front, that origin is at front, but we haven't changed the Z. So I'm going to do Z positive 3 inches. There we go. So positive 3 inches, my Z from origin, right-hand rule. Don't look at the one in red. No, that's your world coordinate system. That is your always stay the same on the top plane. Look at the green one. There's these guys right here, right-hand rule. If you go right click, you look under graphic view front, right-hand rule. Your thumb to the right is X, your first finger going up is your Y, and your Z towards is your Z positive. And now we are at Z positive 3 inches. Look at that. There is my origin. And that's where I'm going to create a rectangle. So go to front view, graphic view front, and I'm going to start doing my rectangle. So let's go back and look at my drawing. So I'm going to create this rectangle. Woohoo. Come on. Delete that. So I'm going to do this rectangle, and that rectangle total width is 1.5 plus 1.5, total 3 inches. And the height is going to be 375 plus radius 375, which is total 750. So 3 by 750, I'm going to create a rectangle in my construction plane front. Let's do it. I'm at Z positive 3 inches. I'm in construction plane front. So I'll go back to rectangle. And this time I'm going to say rectangular shapes. And I'll pick this origin right here. So that's going to be my origin right here. So what's the width? The width is, how much is the width? The The width is 1.5 plus 1.5, 3 inches. And 375 plus 37750. So 3 by 750 is going to be my rectangle. Width is 3 inches. Height is 750. 375 plus 375, 750. And it says select a base point. This is my base point right there. Click on the origin. Click it. There we go. You're good. Apply. You see that rectangle is right here. In the construction plane front, Z positive 3 inches. And I want to do another back over here. If you look at your drawing, guys, I'm going to do one back over here. That is 1.25 plus 1.25. That's 2.5. And this is half an inch plus 250. It says 750. So 2.5 and 750. But how about Z? Look at that, your Z. 3 inches from origin away from you is Z minus. So we're going to go to Z minus, change your Z minus over here. -3 now. Origin is going to shift back over here. Look at that. And now that's where we're going to create the rectangle. So go right click, say front, graphic view front, and here is my 2.5 by 750, and that's going to go right over here. Width is 250. That's 750. That's good. And my base point is going to be right at the origin. And there is a rectangle back there over here. Look at that. So even if you look at the front view, guys, you think that rectangle is right here at 0, but this is controlled by your Z. Your Z is -3 inches over here. That's controlling where your geometry is going to be at Z -3 inches of construction plane front. And that's good. Hit OK. And hit OK. Now we can just put a radius over here, radius over here. Let's see what we have on the drawing. So in the front one, we have radius. We have radius 375. So I'm going to put 375 radius over here. And we have 250 radius on that one. So let's go to back to Mastercam. Fillets. Radius 0.375. And this guy and this guy. This guy and this guy. And we have radius 0.250. And this guy and this guy. And this and this. There you go. Apply. Hit OK. We don't need this line. We don't need this line. We can go ahead and delete them. There you go. Look at that drawing. That's what we have over here. Now we can join these with these lines right here. We can join them. So going to do that, how we can join this line, this end to this end. How we can join line with this from this end to this end. We can only do that in construction plane top, because on construction plane top, all these lines are lying at Z0. We cannot do in front plane. We cannot do it in right plane. So let me show you that. I want to join endpoint of this to endpoint of this. Endpoint of this line to endpoint of that. Endpoint of this arc right here to endpoint of this. Endpoint of this arc to endpoint of this. So if you look at this endpoint and this endpoint and this endpoint and this endpoint, if you're looking right now, I'm in construction plane front. So this endpoint is Z minus, this endpoint is Z plus. Same thing looking at a construction plane, right? This endpoint is going to be Z minus, this is Z plus. So endpoints are located at different Z. So if I'll try to connect that in from this line, which is okay, I'll say go to create a line endpoint, freeform line. I want to do endpoint. So it says specify the first endpoint. I'm going to start from here. Okay, good. Can we end it up with this here? No, look at this. What the results is going to be. Your results is going to be, watch over here. If I'm going to end up here, click it. We ended up getting this line. Why? Because that line is at endpoint of this, but it's controlled by your Z. Your Z is 3 inches, minus 3 inches. So everything you're going to create is going to be at minus 3 inches. Let's try this one here. I started that. That's okay. I want to end up over here. It picks that endpoint, but look at the line ended up, the results is right here because everything is going to be on Z minus 3 inches. We are controlling the construction plane front with my Z minus 3 inches. You want to start from this endpoint, watch here. If I'm going to start here, where it's going to land, it lands right here. Why? Because that is Z minus 3 inches in the front plane. And I want to go back over here, click on there, look at this, where it's going to land. It lands right here. Why? Because controlled by Z minus 3 inches. Undo it, undo it, undo it. But if we go to construction plane top and my Z0, now all these endpoints are, if you look here on the top plane, all the endpoints are at Z0, all that Z0. So now in the top plane, this my Z is going to be 0. So all the endpoints at Z0. So if I'll go back and say do my line endpoint, start from here to here, no problem. There we go. Because they are controlled by Z and all the endpoints are Z0. Click here, there, 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 there. Hit OK. So because if you look at here, they're all at Z0. Now, if I'm at construction plane top at Z0, if I want to go ahead and create a line from this endpoint to this endpoint, look at this, where it's going to land it. It's going to land it at Z0 because that is my Z is controlling that. So in that case, guys, I'm going to undo that. In that case, if I want to create a line from that endpoint and going to that endpoint, how I can do that? That's where plays your 3D role. That's where you play your 3D role. Look at this. Right now we are in 2D, two-dimensional. Z is controlling and your geometry is controlled by X and Y. If I'm going to change that to 3D, 3D means wherever you're going to click, it's going to click your X, Y, and Z. Doesn't matter your plane is your top or front or right, doesn't matter. So if I'm in 3D, watch here, I'm going to say line. I want to start a line from here. Perfect, no problem. That's my 3D, X, Y, Z, whatever. At here, whatever your X, Y, Z you see over here at this point, that is my point where I'm going to start my arc. If you read those numbers over here, X, Y, Z, guys, look at this. What are those numbers? X is 1.5, Y is -3, and Z is 0.375. Okay, perfect. Because we are in 3D. So wherever I'm going to click, I want to click right here. There we go. That's your line right there. It's in 3D. So over here, your Z is 750. I want to create a line from here. I want to go up to this point right here. Okay, perfect. Not a problem. But you have to be in 3D. Can we do that in 2D? No way, because your Z controls. If I'm going to say undo, undo, now I'll go to 2D. The way you switch from 2D to 3D, guys, just left click on your mouse. Left click on your mouse, change to 2D, left click on your mouse, change to 3D. So if I'm on 2D, I want to try to do the same line again from here. It starts from there. No, look at why it starts from here, because I'm in 2D and I'm controlling that by Z. I want to go to that point right here. It will go to that point. No, look at that. Where does the line ended up? At Z0. So if that's the case, you have to change to 3D. Undo it. And there we are. So to do that, but to creating these arcs, we do that in 2D. We control the plane by Z, but the geometry is going to be in 2D. So make sure you are not on 3D. You can still do it on 3D, but in that case, you have to type your X, Y, and your Z, but we will just create the geometry in our 2D only. But the Z is controlled, the plane is controlled by Z, that Z positive or Z negative. So you will be playing between 2D and 3D, 2D and 3D all the time. All right, so that's my geometry right here. Now I want to create a surfaces. If I want to machine this part, so I have to create a surface. This is my geometry right here, and I want to create a surface. To create a surface, we don't need these lines, guys. We don't need that. These lines are just the temporary lines to join it. I'll just right click and change this line to a different level. I'll just put this on level 2, and I'll just name this as my construction. That's my construction lines on level 2. And then I'll go to level 2. I can go ahead and turn those off. Construction line, turn it off. I don't need that. Now, I want to create a surface. I want to machine that part, but I got the geometry. Now I have to create a surface. The surface is going to be, these are the geometry we're going to use to create a surface. So here comes your surfaces. And we did talk this in our last class. Loft, that's what we talked last week or in the last class. So we're going to still use loft again. When you create loft surface, like I mentioned, that you have to have at least 2 chain. This is going to be 1 chain. This is going to be 2nd chain. This is going to be 1 chain. This is going to be 2nd chain. So I'll pick loft and let's create a surface between these 2 chains first. So here, the reason I hide those lines, guys, watch here. If I go to surface loft and I pick chain, I pick this as a chain, it will select this whole entire chain. We don't need this to create a geometry. We need the shape where it starts from one end to the other end. So in that case, either you do say partial, or you just say single. In this case, single, because we have only one is single. This is not single. This is, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 geometry. This is single. So you pick single, chain contour 1, single, contour 2, single, start from the same point and apply, hit OK. And there's your surface right there. There's your surface. We don't need these lines to make a surface, guys. No, we don't need that. Now, when I'm going to create a surface on this one here, I'm still on chain now. Then we have to pick this chain. It's select the whole thing. That's not correct. We can do that partial. It says define contour 1, select the first entity. Make sure you select from the lower part, lower end, and arrow should go up. And then the last entity, this is my last entity. We can do partial, that's okay. New contour chain 2, start or modify. So the new one is going to be still partial. If you start from this end, guys, arrow goes down, that's not good. Start from the short end, your arrow has to go up. You can always go ahead and change the direction just by pressing reverse, that's okay. And the last entity, this is my last entity. So we just need this chain and hit OK and hit OK. That will create a surface between that. And hit OK. So in that case, we don't need these lines, guys. That's why I hide those lines. If I'm going to go ahead and undo it again, I'll go to level, I'll hide those lines. It's going to be a lot easier for me to create a surface. Go to surface, loft. Now I don't care, even I have a chain. This is my chain. It's not joining anywhere, it's going to end. That's okay. Chain 2, this is my chain 2. Apply, hit OK. Hit OK. I'm still in the same command, contour 1, we are in chain command. Pick this, this is my entire chain. Chain 2, make sure you start at the same direction. Chain 2, this is my chain 2. Here's my surface. So we are only concerned about the shape of the part and how, which geometry controls the shape of the part. This geometry right here and this geometry right here, that's control. The edge over here has an edge has a line over here. It doesn't mean anything. Same thing, the edge over here has a line over here, doesn't mean anything. We hide that line. Those lines are hidden right here. You want to bring it back, you can bring it back. Undo it. Undo it. Go to surfaces again. Loft. You're starting chain 1, contour 1 from this direction. Look at the green is always start point, red is end point. So if you start from this end point, make sure you start from this end point. If you start from this end point, watch, this is going to be your results like this. Because start point to the start point, that's why you see this line over here. End points try to meet with the same end point right over here. Cancel that. Go back to your surface loft. Chain, same direction. You start from this end, the first contour, start from the same end, the second contour. Apply and hit OK. There's your surface. Hit OK. We are still in the same command. Chain, first chain, chain 2, second chain, same side. Don't start from this side. Then we have the same problem. Same side, going arrow up. End chain, hit OK, hit OK. And there's my surface right there. And we can put this also in different level, the geometry or surface in different level. We can select here. You can select surface at like this also, guys, or you can just select surface from here. Just say select all surface entity. It's going to select all, right click and put the surface on different level. I'm going to put the surface on level 3. And I can name that level 3 as my surfaces. There you go. You go to level, we have 3 different surfaces. We can turn surface on and turn the geometry off. That's what we need to make a tool path. So these are the surfaces we need. That's where your tool is going to cut. The geometry only generates the shape of the part. We don't need geometry. In 2D, yes, we always work with the geometry. 2D is totally different. If you guys remember your last class you had taken 173, it's totally different. Yes, in 2D we use geometry to create the shape of the part and to run the tool around the curve, along the geometry. So that's where we need curve. Here we need surfaces for the tool. And this is something like you mentioned, you guys are going to learn in your 177 Mastercam 3D toolpath next semester. That's where we're going to cut this part. We're going to create a geometry toolpath and we're going to cut that. I'll go ahead and pause my recording for a second, then we can okay, folks, so we're going to go and save file. I'm going to save that file. I'm going to save file, save as, and we're going to save this on our Mastercam 2022 under mill CNC machine. We can go under mill. Okay, we have those. Project 1. Manufacturing 175. Okay, we save that project file. We're going to go to file new, and we're going to start a new project. All right, so going back now, project 1, we're done with that. Do you want to save? No, and here comes my project 2. All right, so on project 2, if you look my drawing, my geometry, I have A, B, and C, and those A, B, and C are right here. That's my geometry for A, this is for my B, and this is for my G. So I'm going to create these 3 geometries, and I'm going to create that on the front plane. If you look at here, look in this direction, that's your plane front. That's your front plane. So let's say if I'm going to keep, because all the dimension, look at this, goes from here, I'm going to keep this my Z0. So the geometry for A graphics right here, for geometry, this guy right here, I'm going to do this at Z0. And then for B back here, so how far is going to be my Z over here? Z is going to be away from you, Z minus 3 inches. So the geometry graphics B, we're going to create in construction plane front at Z minus 3 inches. And your graphic C, for that, your geometry is right here for C. And we're going to create that back at Z minus 6 inches. So first one is A is at Z0, B is going to be Z minus 3, and C is going to be at Z minus 6 inches. So construction plane front at Z0, we're going to start with a rectangle. And the rectangle width is going to be 3.5 by 0.6, and then we can make a little line at angle 60 degrees. And so let's do that. Let's create a rectangle 3.5 wide and 0.6 high. So go to Mastercam. All right, so we're going to start with not in the construction plane top. We're going to start with the construction plane front. Look at that. And graphic. Okay, I'm in construction plane front, but my graphic view is still on the top. If you look at, say I pick my cursor over here, see what it says here? Read this over here. It says top WCS. WCS is your world coordinate system. That's your WCS. It's still on the top. But when you bring down there, you're going to see that your construction plane is front. So I want to see my WCS also in front. So I'm in construction plane front, but I'm looking at the top plane. Graphic view is top. So right click, go to graphic view also to the front, and you see normal to that. That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. You are in the front plane, construction plane front, WCS is still on the top, but you look under that you are looking straight onto the front plane. So go to front, and we are at Z0. I'll go back to 2D, construction plane 2D. And here we're going to start with the rectangles. So go to wireframe, rectangular shapes again. And that was, the geometry was how much? It was 3.5, I guess, right? Yeah, 3.5 width and 0.6 is your height. So that width is 3.5, height is 0.6. And my base point is over here at the origin. Apply. Right click. I'm going to change to my colors to green. And I'm going to change this also to green color. Okay, so here is my rectangle. While I'm doing that, I can also create these two lines. If you look at those lines right here, 60 degrees, and this is also 60 degrees. So this line is going to be 90 plus 30, 120. That's going to be angle. I will give you this line right here. This total 100 is 180 degrees, and 180 degrees minus 60, that's going to be 120. So we're going to go to line, and I'm going to go this line from there to here, and that angle, length doesn't matter, we can trim it, and angle is going to be 120. There you go. And I have another line from here, this endpoint to here, that angle is 60 degrees. Apply here, okay. I can trim and extend that. So here, if you look at here, we have a radius 150,000 guys over here. This radius 150,000 on both sides right there too. So let's make the radius fillet 150,000. So we're going to go to fillet, and that radius is 150,000. Between this guy and this guy, that's a fillet. Between this and this, there's a fillet. And we don't need this line. Get rid of this line, delete them, delete those lines. There we go. All right. So let's create our next drawing, B. And if you look at B, B is from the face, from the front plane Z, B is Z minus 3 inches. That is 3 inches. That's your geometry B. So I'll go ahead, go to master cam. I'm still in the construction plane front, but I'm going to change my Z to -3. There you go, -3 inches Z. Right click, go to construction plane front so I can see my graphic in front. And what I'm going to draw a rectangle 4.25 by 1 inch. And then we can make a radius 1 inch radius. So 4.25 wide, 1 inch in height, and radius 1 inch on the corners. All right, let's do it. wireframe, go to rectangular shape, and this width is 4.25 and the height is 1 inch. It goes right on the center right there. There you go. Apply, hit OK. Look at that, it's back over here. And I can go ahead and make my fillets, 1 inch fillet on the back. There is my fillets round. And this is what we got right there. 1 inch radiuses, 4.25. Now let's draw the last one, number C here. The drawing C. And this is your geometry right here for drawing C. How about Z over here, guys? Z is -6 inches for this geometry. So let's go to Mastercam and change that Z to -6. There you go. -6. Right click, go to front plane, and we can create that rectangle 3 inches wide, 0.5 in height, and then we can make a full fillets right there. So go to rectangular shapes, and this is 3 inches, and your height is 0.5. You can go, base point is right here, same at origin, and that rectangle is back over here. Apply, hit OK. And we can make a fillet radius over here, 0.5. So go to your fillets, radius 0.5. There, there, and there. Apply, hit OK. And there is an arc right here, radius 5 inches arc. That is going to be tangent to these two. So we can go ahead and create arc tangent to two entities and put the radius is 5. It's going to be tangent to this guy and this guy right there. And this is the arc we want. There you go. It is going to be joined. We have to join and trim it right there. Let's keep that or try to make a fillet between these two. We have to make a fillet between these two. So you can do that as a tangent, extend that and extend that over here. Then we can make a fillet. Okay, good. So let's do that. Go to trim two entities. So trim to a point. I'm going to select this arc and extend that. Select this arc and extend that. There we go. And we can get rid of this line. We don't need it. Oh boy. Delete that line. And we can trim that two entities. This to this, this to this. There we go. So that is my shape of the part. Go to isometric. We have drawn our geometry A, B, and C A is at Z0, B is at Z minus 3, and C is at Z minus 6. We don't need these lines. Select these lines and hit delete. Now again, do we have to join those lines? Yes, we can if we want to join those, but we don't have to. Those lines has no function. This is the geometry which controls the shape of the part. These are the geometries. If you want to, we can do it with the same thing. We have to go to 3D and we have to join those lines. Go to create a line from this point to this point, that point to that point, this point, endpoint to this endpoint. This endpoint to that endpoint. But these lines has no function. This has no function. I'll do the same thing. I can select, change into different level. I'll change this to level 2. And say those are my construction line. And I can go to level and I can hide those. There we are. Okay, now let's create the surface. We're done with the geometry. If you look at here, we already got the drawing. The graphic A, drawing A, we got it at Z0 in construction plane front. B, we got it Z minus 3 inches in construction plane front again. C is also in construction plane at Z minus 6 inches. So Z is controlling those geometries in construction plane front. You can do in construction plane side, doesn't matter, but it's better to view this in front. This is right side, and you look from the top. This is going to be your top. Okay, let's talk about surface now. Here are my surfaces again. And I'm going to still use loft surface. Chain 1. We are in chain 1. Go from the same endpoint on all of them. Chain 1, chain 2, and chain 3. Same side. Because this is going to match to this. This is going to match to this start point. This is going to match to this endpoint. That's going to match to this endpoint. And apply, hit OK. Inconsistent number of sink. Guys, make a note. This is very important. Inconsistent number of sink. What does that mean? That if you look at this drawing, it has how many geometries, how many entities has on this geometry? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 entities in this geometry. And on this one, we have 1, 2, and 3. So we have 5 and we have 3. And here we have 1, 2, 3. 5, 3, 3. So that's inconsistent, means each contour has a different number of entities. They're not consistent. So in that case, what we do, go to your surface again, go to loft. And under your settings, options, look at the sync mode by entities. By entities means if I have 3 on this one, 3 on this one, and 3 on this one, I'll be just fine. That means by entity. Click on that and say none. hit OK. One more time. When you go to loft, it's going to ask for your chain. Go under options. Under options, make sure your sync mode should be none. If you have by entities, you're going to have the same problem what we had earlier. You got to say none and hit OK. Now we should be fine. So contour 1, this is my contour 1, contour chain 2, chain 2, chain 3, chain 3. Hit end chain, hit OK. There is my surface. Click a surface to flip normals. We are good. You can flip normal up to up, that's fine. Okay. So when we create the surface, we have two options. Under loft, we have two options, either ruled or lofted. In Mastercam 2000, I think 19, they changed that. They put ruled and loft in one. Prior to those released, prior to 2019, loft used to be a separate surface and ruled used to be a separate surface. Now it's a combo, they put two together. So let me show you the difference. After you select that, let's say you decided to do a ruled surface are straight linear surface. So as soon as I'm going to click on ruled surface, watch this shape is going to change a little bit. Click on that. Look at that. That's your ruled surface. It's linear. And loft is, there you go, loft. Ruled, loft. Ruled is a surface between two chains. This chain and this chain, that's just one surface. Between this chain and this chain, that's another surface. That's under ruled. And they're flat, they're linear, they're straight. But loft is a combination of those three chains. It will give you this surface. Let's say I picked up my loft surface and hit OK. And if you click on that surface, it's just one surface. Hit the escape key. You click on that, it's a one surface. You hit delete, it will delete that surface. That was your loft. Loft is a combination of these three geometries, is your loft surface. Go to surface, say loft again, chain, contour 1, contour 2, contour 3, and chain, hit OK. We have a loft. I want to do ruled. The shape change. It's linear. Mostly go from there to there, just like a straight line. Look at this. Loft is going to blend all together with three geometries. That's going to give you one surface. When you say ruled and you hit OK, like I said, ruled is a surface between this geometry and this geometry. So the ruled has, this is one individual surface and this is individual surface. Hit the escape key. You want to delete one, you can individually delete that. So under rule, each chain has individual surfaces between those two chains. You have to have two chains at least. But the surface is going to be a linear surface, like a straight line. It's like a straight, mostly straight, called linear. The loft surface is going to be a combination of all the geometries. Is going to give you one surface. That's your loft. And loft is one surface. So I'm going to go to loft again. And here I'm going to pick chain 1, chain 2, and chain 3. Hit up end chain, OK. There you go. That's your rule, and this is your loft. I want you guys to create a loft surface. Make sure you guys create a loft surface. Don't create rule surface, a loft surface. the surface we did earlier, those were pretty straightforward surfaces and it didn't make any changes, any differences between loft and rule. This will make a difference. So if you pick loft surface, guys, it's just one surface. Look at that. I select the one surface. You want to delete, you can delete this whole surface. There's not individual surfaces between individual contour. Undo it. It's only one surface. Now, let's say if I'm going to go undo it, so if I am in construction plane, still in front plane. So here, if I go transform and I'm going to pick this guy, transform, I want to translate that Z minus 1.5. And hit OK. And I can go ahead and move this surface right there. And also Z minus 1.5 or Z positive 1.5, doesn't matter. We're going to move it out a little bit right here. So I just copy those surfaces, guys, and hit OK. I just copy those surfaces, so those geometries. So I added another geometry, I added another geometry right here. Now, if I go to surface, I'm just showing you an example. And I'm going to go to loft, and I'm going to pick chain, contour 1, contour 2, contour 3, 4, 5, and chain, hit OK. That will give you this shape of a surface as a loft. If say rule, look at this. That's rule is linear, straight surfaces. See the difference? That gives you mostly like a linear surfaces. Linear means straight surfaces. These are straight surfaces from here to here at an angle, straight. But when you say loft, that gives you a blend of all the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 geometries. That will give you a blend. So if I'll say ruled, hit OK. If this is an individual surface, you can delete them. This is an individual surface. This is individual surface. These are individual surfaces. So these all are individual surfaces. Undo, undo. And I can select these and delete them. When you do loft surface, go to loft and pick your chain 1, contour 2, contour 3, contour 4, contour 5. And if I say loft, that is just one surface. Look at that. That's just one surface. You can delete the whole surface. Undo it. It comes back. So here, your chain controls the shape, your geometry. These chains controls the shape of your part under loft. So anytime you want to change your shape, you have to create your geometry to make that changes. That is your loft surface. But I don't want you guys to, you guys can just go ahead and practice it. You don't have to draw this, but I'm showing you the differences. So here, hold the shift key. I can delete that. Hold the shift key. I can delete that. These two, the one we just copied. And we need this here, surface, loft, chain 1, contour 2, contour 3, hit OK, and there we go, and hit OK. And that is my surface. I'm going to go ahead and pause that recording.